You're watching Pedestal by Sargeant Hagan. Chapter 31. The rest of the trip was uneventful. Edwin napped on the flight back to Istanbul. They arrived around dinner time, and after changing, ate once again in the beautiful Tugra restaurant. After dinner, the party moved to the bar in the lobby. It was brightly lit and open to the atrium with its burgundy marble tiles. Adriana only stayed for one drink. "It's been a long day," she explained as she stood to leave. "Hazim, would you like to go into the city tomorrow? I wanted to visit the Spice Bazaar, and you know I leave in just 2 days." "Oh, so sorry, Eleni," he said apologetically. "Tomorrow I have a meeting. I will be gone all day." He caressed her hand and pulled her closer to him. "But I will make it up to you. Will you have dinner with me tomorrow night?" he asked. "Just the two of us, in my suite." She giggled. Edwin's stomach churned. "Okay," she said, her eyelids fluttering as she smiled coyly at him. Hazim kissed her hand. "Tomorrow, Eleni," he said with a sultry smile. He ogled her shapely form as she walked away toward the atrium staircases. Sickening. "So not tonight, I guess, Hazim," teased one of his friends. Hazim laughed and shrugged. "Not tonight. That one is making me work for it." He sighed. "A long time I've been working for this prize, but I think she will be worth it." He laughed again, slapping Edwin affectionately on the shoulder. "You know how it is, Edwin," he said. "These American women, they are so stupid. Give them a little foreign accent and a little savoir-faire, and they are putty in your hands." Edwin could feel the heat surging through him. He'd clenched his fist. "We are not the same." "But this one, she is smarter than most," Hazim continued. "Takes more time, but I shall have her in the end." "So you intend to marry her?" asked Edwin. "Marry her?" Hazim laughed derisively. "I just need her in my bed, and I think I am close now. Very close." "But in the meantime," Edwin followed his gaze to a blonde young woman seated at the bar. She smiled seductively at Hazim, who walked over to her. "Wish me luck, my friend," he said with a grin. "I hate spiders." Edwin sat in a stunned silence. He returned his attention to the atrium where Adriana had disappeared. Does she know her handsome Bahrainian is a player? Does she care? But something else ended his silent reverie. There were 2 staircases in the atrium that curved upward to the mezzanine. Adriana had climbed one of the staircases and had just disappeared toward her room. Edwin noticed a dark-haired man wearing a mustache and a hotel uniform warily staring after her. Then, after furtively glancing around, he also ascended the stairs. When he reached the mezzanine, the man continued to follow Adriana toward the old palace rooms. Edwin sat thoughtfully in his chair. He sipped his drink, but a knot began to form in the pit of his stomach. Something wasn't right. He didn't like the looks of that man. His face had a serious determination about it. And as far as Edwin knew, their small party were the only guests in the older part of the hotel. No, something isn't right. He rose and ascended the grand staircase. Adrenaline rushed through him with every step. As he turned toward the old palace suites, he realized he didn't have an actual plan. If Adriana is in danger, what am I going to do? He patted his pockets as if expecting some phantom weapon to have magically materialized. He was at her door. There was no one in the hall. Edwin stepped closer to the door, straining for any sound. He could hear voices talking, arguing, he thought. They were speaking in Turkish, a man and a woman. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door. The voices stopped abruptly. "Adriana," he called out, "it's Edwin." There was no reply. "Adriana, are you all right?" He heard scuffling and a woman's muffled cry. Without thinking, Edwin tried the door. It was unlocked. He threw it open to find Adriana struggling in the arms of the man in hotel uniform who was forcibly kissing her. Edwin charged at him, pushing them apart. The man quickly dropped his hold on Adriana, grabbed Edwin, restraining him from behind, and pressed a large knife against his throat. Edwin struggled to breathe, his life flashing across his mind as he watched Adriana screaming something and holding out her hands in a stopping motion. "No, he's exactly who he says he is." What does she mean? Why is everything in slow motion? How is it possible to relive my entire life in this split second of time? Edwin's mind snapped back into reality and time began again. The dark-haired man laughed derisively, shoving him toward Adriana, who clung to him, touching his throat where the knife had been pressed. The man sneered something in Turkish. "Get out," Adriana said dismissively. He obeyed, sneering as he closed the door behind him. Adriana turned her attention to Edwin, tenderly touching his throat again. "Are you hurt?" she asked anxiously. "I'm fine. Are you all right? Did he hurt you?" Edwin cradled her face in his hands. "He didn't hurt me," she assured him. He crossed the room and picked up the hotel telephone on a table by the door. "Where's your butler?" he asked. "I dismissed him for the night." "Don't!" she cried, hanging up the receiver. "We have to call the front desk," he said incredulously. "We need them to call the police." "No, he didn't do any harm." "He tried to kill me." Edwin stared at her in disbelief. Is she in shock? "I don't understand," he said. "I found him trying to molest you." "No, he heard you at the door and thought you were an enemy. He pretended to kiss me so you would come in to the room and he could identify you. He was protecting me from you." Edwin clutched the sides of his head, trying to keep his mind from exploding. "Who are you?" he asked. Her chest heaved up and down as if her breathing were labored. "I can't tell you," she said finally. "And I'm supposed to accept that?" he asked, raising his voice. "I've never lied to you, Edwin," she pleaded. "I just haven't told you everything. Can you now?" "No." They stood staring at one another. "What did he say to you as he left?" he asked. "Nothing," she said. "Something stupid." "You speak Turkish?" "My mother was Turkish," she replied defiantly. "What did he say?" His tone was angry, almost menacing. "He said he doesn't know what I see in you and that I'd be better off with him." Edwin nodded. "And what do you see in me?" She studied every inch of his face before she spoke. "I see the bravest man I've ever known." Pulling him toward her, she kissed him. "I need you to do this one thing for me," she whispered, her lips hovering close to his. "Anything." "I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Edwin looked deeply into her eyes. "Sunshine in her eyes," Mr. Talkey had said. "Yes."